How's it going, everyone? This is Desmond, and this is my first YouTube video. Looking back at my life, and I've always been an individual that's never said much of anything up until now. A lot has happened over the last few years, which has showed the importance of free speech against censorship. All these folks being shadow banned for just speaking the truth. And I've got to a point where I need to start speaking my truth to help folks. So this is just me taking my first shot at social media, and hopefully my voice is able to provide some form of support to those who need that. A little bit about myself is that I remember one point where I quit my job, and it took me some time to get employed. This was around the time when there was a lot of layoffs. It was a couple years back, and I wasn't the only one. I remember seeing folks on social media, like LinkedIn and stuff. They were having a hard time trying to literally find a job. I would see fathers post on LinkedIn and say hey, I've applied for 100 plus jobs, 200, and I've done 40 plus interviews, and I can't find nothing. They do first, second level interviews, even get to shake hands with the boss, and they show you around, but then cold call, nothing, right? They don't hire the person, right? And it was rough. I remember that time, I remember that period, and I was one of them. And what I saw on social media is it was just you would have certain folks say oh, buck up, work harder, do more. I'm and it wasn't even that. It was just the whole system, there's a whole design of everything when you think about it. So yeah, I just remember that hard period. I remember I was going through some hard stuff, and at one point, I was asking God, why am I going through this hard time? And I remember I got my answer in the form of, if y'all remember Charles Stanley, that one pastor who passed away a couple years back. So I'm not sure if you know this, but they still play his sermons even after his passing, which is nice. But I was just driving, just going to the gym, and one morning, literally just some random morning, I hear a sermon of Charles Stanley, and it was a good while before I heard God speak to me. I was asking for a sign, direction, show me the way, show me my next step, show me what I need to do to, provide for my family and stuff as I look for, stable job, right? Stable 9 to 5. And the answer came in the form of Charles Stanley's sermon, where he was he referenced that one story from the Bible with David. Supposedly David, he had a rough time. He had a rough season where essentially he was being pruned to be a better leader, right? All the struggle that he went through was for his benefit, not only his benefit, but also when he was ready to be his next leadership position, the people benefited from his trials and tribulations. And that was my answer to what I was going through. It was that it was a pruning period, and I was supposed to share my voice, my knowledge and wisdom to the people, so that way folks who are in similar situations would benefit from everything that I've learned, that I've gone through. So I remember hearing that. That was the message, and it was clear because it said, I remember him saying, if you don't do that, God will put you on a shelf for you to be in your ways. And I didn't like that answer, but I already knew what I was gonna do. I did not share my voice and wisdom, my knowledge and wisdom to the people. And I was shelved for a long period, up until now. And now I realize whatever God tells you to do, you gotta do. It's like the saying with the, if you remember, it's the book of Jonah, right? When Jonah was trying to escape, he told him to go to that one city, and he goes to the ocean, gets swallowed by the whale. Yeah, it's a humbling. I'm looking back at it, and it's a humbling experience. But just obey God. If you obey God and just do what He says, you'll avoid a lot of pain. So, which brings me to this video, is I'm finally doing what He's told me to do this whole entire time. So, one of the first things I want to talk about is this whole 9-to-5 situation. So, over the last few years, especially since the pandemic, I'm sure all of you have seen this, where the traditional 9-to-5 structure system, especially in America, has been kind of like debunked, demystified. It's been shown its true colors. I remember seeing like a TikTok video of this one construction worker. He worked for this place for like 40 years. I remember the clip going viral. And at some point, like the company CEOs, they just reneged on their offer, and they weren't collecting, the construction workers weren't gonna collect their retirement after working there for like majority of their lives. And I remember the clip going viral. It was one construction worker. He was just completely irate and completely justified to do that. And there were other construction workers around him, and they were like trying to calm him down. But like, I mean, that one guy is us. Like, any of us could be that one guy. And there's been more of that these last few years, where like folks like dedicate their lives to like working for like a company, and it's like they're stabbed in the back. And it's like, what is it for anyways? Like the whole model, if you look back at it, like with the boomers, the silent generation, dare I even say the Gen Xers, like that whole thing doesn't work anymore. It just really doesn't. Like, especially like millennials and Gen Zs, right? They see it. And y'all see it, and y'all are doing good. We're like, we're waiting every 2 weeks to get a paycheck, commuting to work, coming back from work, your day is gone, supposedly working there 30, 40 years at one employer, company, you name it. It's not it. It doesn't pay the bills. Like, so, and that which leads you to my next thing, is that inflation's gone out of control. I'll share this. So during the pandemic, I let fear control me more than I should have. And looking back at it, I remember like not going out as much as I needed to. So when I went out to like get certain things, because I was like door dashing everything, but when I went out to get certain things, I was like shocked. Like, because I remember going out before the pandemic, I would get like Gatorade and like apples or like whatever snacks, and it would be like not even like $20. And then I go out and it's like $40 something. Like, I remember like, what in the world? There's no way. I just got me like a 6-pack of Gatorade, just a whole, like a bag of apples, and it was just like, it was nuts. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. If you look at it, like, people who are like, have like kids and families, with all the bills they gotta do with daycare and everything, like, there's no way that they're not in debt, right? Like, I think I remember seeing like the average of daycare is like $1,000, like 1K, right? I feel like these last few years that inflation, we've seen the horrors of inflation, right? And what it can do to anyone's purchasing power, right? So trying to like do everything via cash, putting all your your cash in like savings and bank accounts. If you do the math, it doesn't add up, right? Like you get like less than 1% return, right? Robert Kiyosaki says it all the time, which again his words may be a little frank, direct. Savers are losers, but again, you see folks who are in crypto or folks who are stackering, like gold stackers, silver stackers, folks who are in real estate. The percentages that they get with REITs or Bitcoin or meme coins or whatever, right? Other different asset classes, it just blows folks who are trying to save away. So, which goes into my third thing that I wanted to share with you all, is that if you look at the whole like 9-to-5 work structure combined with like the inflation economic situation, right? That it looks to me, from my vantage point, like there's this scene from this movie Tron that was a couple years ago, and there's a scene like at the very end where the two characters talk, and I feel like it's like a parallel, or like, I don't know what's the right word, but like it's a reference to like God and the fallen one, right? So like the scene is basically like the villain, right? He basically says he was created by the creator, right? In the movie, right? And he says to his creator, like, I was created to design the perfect system, and I took that system to its maximum potential. And I look at this entire infrastructure that was designed, the matrix, so to speak, and that's exactly what this is. Everything, like I just mentioned, the 9-to-5, inflation, the way politics work, not only here in America, but also around the world. You zoom out of your life and you zoom out to multiple lifetimes, and you see the world, how it's evolved, mankind, so to speak, and you see that the matrix itself is the perfect system and it's been taken to its maximum potential, but it's man-made. That's why it doesn't serve man. It doesn't serve our true needs and desires and purpose of why we were even created, right? Which is the antithesis, right, to what God created, the creator, right? I mean, if you think about it, look at what the creator has designed, right? He's created Earth, right? Sun, the stars, beautiful sunrise, beautiful sunset, an ecosystem that's in essence a beautiful tapestry of how certain species depend upon each other, and the universe, right? It's two different things, right? I remember the saying from Prometheus, like God doesn't build in straight lines, right? So you just compare the matrix, man-made, different principalities of malevolence, right? This influencing a lot of decisions, a lot of things, the way things are, right? And then you compare it to the beautiful creation that is the earth, right? The world that we live in, right? So it's just two things that are at odds, right? And I feel like we're at this inflection point at this point in time where a lot of folks are waking up, right? A lot of folks, especially men, they're seeing it. Like, none of this makes any sense at all. And there has been a concerted effort over the years to go after men, It's just have and to uproot and upend the traditional family household, right? Traditional, wives, traditional marriages, like all of that is just being dismantled before our very eyes, and I can't stay silent anymore. So, yeah, it's just sharing that, which leads me to, again, my next thing of what I want to talk about is this is we're at the cusp of a new year, right? With the advent of 2025, and I'm just sharing with you. I truly believe we quite literally dodged a bullet, right, with the way things turned out in the election, right? So now that I believe common sense is coming back to a lot of folks, especially not only to this nation but around the world. The next 4 years seem promising. So as a result, I believe that if you're hearing this, I don't think it's by coincidence. I don't believe it's by coincidence at all that you're hearing this. As I believe the next year, we have to lock in and take advantage of all the opportunities that presents themselves for us to take full advantage of, right? So I truly believe that if you look at different families, right, there's always that one individual, that one, I guess, how do I say this, cornerstone, right, or bedrock, where like that one family member is able to lock in and change break the generational curse, whatever generational cycle, for future generations to live better lives. So I believe if you're hearing this, it's you, and it was always going to be you, just like it was always going to be me. So we have to lock in, especially this year, 2025. As a man, the Bible says it so clear. A man is a provider and protector for his family and for his wife, right? His children, his legacy, right? So to be a provider, especially now, this day and age, you need loads of cash. You need loads of assets, right? And one single income just doesn't do it. It really doesn't. So you have to find multiple streams of income. And if the man is playing the masculine role, right, and the woman is playing the feminine role, as the wife, you as the man have to lead. You have to be innovative. You have to have some certain sense of ingenuity to figure this out, right? So that is our role as a provider, right? And the next thing is protector. And this is one facet that I see a lot of men, young and old, and in between, they don't really do that. And that's one thing I aim to do in this channel, because I myself focus more on the provider role. And when I really stepped into the protector role, like going to the gym like 6 times a week, increasing my skeletal muscle mass, learning how to fight, like calcifying my knuckles, my fists, so I can throw a proper punch with good technique and have enough kinetic energy flow through my body to make an impact to knock out a person, someone who's stronger, heavier than me. That is not lifting. I'm sorry, gym bros, but that is your bench press. If you step into the ring with a full-fledged fighter like I did, your bench will not save you. Your squat, your deadlift, it will not save you. So what really matters is, in being a protector, is you need to know how to fight. You need to know how to use your fists. You need to know how to use your knees, your elbows, your legs. You need to know how to get out of a hold, a choke hold. I mean, who do you think? Are you going to send your wife during a home invasion downstairs to protect the children? against 5 dudes, no. I'm sorry, brother. It's you. It's you as a man. So, gotta lock in. And then, unfortunately, the world that we live in, criminals, they just have no honor anymore. Folks, I mean, think about it. Someone who invades your home in the middle of the night, they're not gonna wait until you're ready and you're warmed up and have a proper boxing match. No. They're there to do harm. So, I would say another facet in being a protector, which I can get into future videos, is some form of being tactical, right? Being smart and knowing that, unfortunately, life's not fair, and when the enemy, when they choose to play unfair, to do things, you gotta do what you gotta do to protect your family, protect your household. So there's that. And finally, purpose, right? Each of us has a natural, God-given spiritual gift, and it's up to us to figure that out, right? And if y'all are wondering what is my spiritual gift, right? Well, one, you can probably Google this, YouTube, ChatGPT this. There's a certain number, which I can get to another video, but there's certain spiritual gifts that are mentioned in the Bible, right? But also, I would just to not overcomplicate things. There's whatever you are naturally good at, whatever you are passionate about that you don't have to think twice, that doesn't burn you out. That's a good indicator of your spiritual gift. So I would lean into that to just figure it out. So, and the reason why I get into purpose is a lot of things that have happened these last few years were like, I call it, if you remember the old school movie, and if you haven't, I would recommend it on my channel. It's the old school movie, back in the 80s, The Neverending Story. There's a scene, not to spoil it, but there's a scene at the end where like the villain, which was the wolf, he says to like the main character, the protagonist, the hero of the story, that folks who don't dream are easy to control. So when I think of that, I feel like a lot of folks these last few years, they're losing their dream. They're losing their dreams, right? They're losing hope on their dreams, and they don't dream. So as a result, you see a lot of folks who are sheep. They're asleep. They're not awake. They're just doing what they've been told to do. They're doing whatever the overseers tell them to do, and they don't question it, right? And you have to critically think. You just have to be that way, so you don't make bad decisions. So find out your purpose, right? Be a provider, be a protector. And if you do that, you'll be better for it. I know this video is going kind of long, so I'm going to end it very soon. The last two things I want to say is you got to be real, especially moving into this year. We've seen a lot of folks, especially with legacy media, where like a lot of folks, they're like pretenders. And I remember hearing a podcast with Joe Rogan and Trump, and he was saying like when he first became president, when he went to DC, he met like a lot of folks who, he had a different word, I can't remember it, but essentially they were pretenders. And you see a lot of that in the real world, and also in social media, right? Where you see a lot of folks that say, "Oh, I'm going to help you," and when you reach out to help them, they really don't, right? Or like they're in it for like some of these content creators that they just like they diss their fans. Especially I remember hearing this one, like they were like in the hospital, like one of the fans was in the hospital and the fan just dissed them. Like, I don't know. It's just, all I'm trying to say is you gotta be real. You got just keep it real. Don't be a pretender. There's too many of them in the world, in society. Just do the right thing all the time. Yeah, so that's about it. So I know this video is long, and I'll cut it here. Yeah, I hope this brings value to folks. That's what I aim to do with my. That's what I will aim to do with my channel is be authentic, be genuine, and I'm gonna keep this. You know, me being unapologetic, unfiltered, unedited, so that way you can see the transformation. Again, this is my first time speaking in this manner. Hopefully, y'all are able to get some confidence and some motivation to just speak from your soul, man. So I'll keep it unedited, I'll post it, and we'll see how things go. But I'm looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward to seeing how this evolves, and hopefully I'm able to provide value to the people and contribute. And that's my ultimate goal. So this is Desmond signing out. Till next time. Have a good one. Peace.